Hello, my friends. Welcome back to Home and Garden. Do you love geraniums? Because I do, but I don't want to spend a lot of money because geranium, the regular geranium, they are annual in my area and I cannot keep them outside. I cannot also keep them inside because I don't have any space. I don't have any greenhouse. So, what I planted in my garden is this perennial geranium. I have three kinds of geranium that are perennial, and I will give you tips on how to care, how to plant, and how to propagate for them so you will have plenty of geraniums in your garden. Okay, so I'm going to show you the first geranium that's planted on this slope side of my garden. So this geranium, this is actually called bloody cranesbill. This is a flowering perennial and they are actually native to Europe and Asia. So look at the close-up view of their flowers. And pay attention also on the leaves because this one, they have a beautiful foliage, and here they don't really grow that high, so you can use them as a border. So for now, because I don't have a lot of my garden, I just put them as an alternate between my other plants. Next to the fern, I have this border geranium, and look, that is a very stunning beauty of these flowers. Have you seen the rose campion flower before? They are similar to this geranium. So you can also propagate them. They also drop seeds, which is actually when I cleaning all this pathway here and removing some of the grass in here, I can see some of small shoots that growing in my pathway. So I just pick them and collect them and put them here and add them as my additional border. They're not very sensitive. They can grow everywhere and they're not going to overtake your garden because they are not like a ground cover. So here, this is one of the baby geranium that I find out on my pathway. So since I have few of them on my yard, I am familiar to find and check out the foliage. So then I collect all the baby geranium and then I put them and add them next to the mother plant. So that is planted on the slope side of my garden. So here, this is actually my cut flower garden. You can use them as your border and create like a geranium plant just all the way to like what I did here. I planted close to this retaining wall. So maybe in the future I can just plant all the way on that side and just going to be covered like a one plant on the edge of this retaining wall. But for now, that's what I have. So I'm going to propagate more and maybe add in between here until maybe they cover some on this side. So this two, and actually again, I still have more all the way to that side, which is I start to add and make them thicker and add in this one. So I'm going to add one more here. Let me just give you a quick look on how I did and plant the geranium in between my other plants. So again, the other one is all the way there at the edge next to the fern. Then next is this, and I have a small one here. And then I have the columbine and peony and more of the geranium. And look, so this is how they design my garden. I didn't plant this in here. This is just some of maybe the roots. It's just like growing in between this pavers or this retaining wall. So, but I like it. It looks like natural. I love the way that they grow in between. So again, that's a close-up look. There are tiny flowers, but look what I doing in designing my garden. They are the one that's just blooming right now on this side. So more in here, and I add them also in this side. So this is one of my geranium that I have in my garden. So I have actually two more variety of this geranium, and again this one is planted on the edge of this retaining wall, planted to my cut flower garden, and here is actually the rose campion, and their flower buds is actually exactly like this. And this is also an evergreen plant. So again, walking all the way just to show you on how I designed this flower cut garden. You can see all these pink flowers. That's all the geranium. And again, that's the far view. And these geranium are easy to take care. You don't have to worry about watering. I actually just water them maybe once a week. And you need to deadhead them like during winter time. They're not really hard to deadhead because some of the stems, when they dry, they are very fragile. So all you have to do is pull them and put them in the trash bin. So let's take a look for the other two geranium that I have. Again, this one is the bloody cranesbill geraniums, and I can also show you later on for the three geraniums and how I propagate them, because I do propagate them by cuttings as well, and also they have the roots and they drop seeds. So I pick all that extra seeds or extra baby plant that they drop, then I just put them and add them so it make it more bushy and look prettier like that. So the second geranium that I have planted on my garden, I actually going to show you and how I add them and decorate them together with my other antique decoration in my garden and add them with other plants. And this is one of the example of this geranium that I create and decorate with my decoration on my garden. This is actually an old wheelbarrow, and I use them as like a planter, and I combine with other plants like rose campion. I also add this geranium as well. There's no bloom on this one yet, but this other one, the one with the white flower, it's also a geranium. And that geranium, the common name is actually Richardson's geranium. So that is what the Richardson's geranium look like. And I want you to notice between the other geranium that I showed you, the bloody cranesbill geranium, which is this one, and also the Richardson's geranium, which is this one. They have a different foliage. So you can see the bloody cranesbill geranium, they have like tinier and like thinner foliage compared to this one. The Richardson geranium is a little bit thicker and it's actually lighter green. So again, this you can combine them. They don't really grow really tall, so you can combine them with your other plants. And I have going to show you, and I'm going to show you later on the other geranium that I planted in the front yard and combine them with the other plants that it's hard to grow in the pots. Going towards this pathway, this is actually on that white pergola that is my rose garden. Actually, this is all my other flower cut garden this side. And here, going back to here, this is all still my irises is still doing good. If you don't see it on my previous video, this is your chance to glance that beautiful irises. They're so beautiful. Okay, that's another old wheelbarrow. So I create this one. This is actually, I call it the fairy garden, and you cannot see any more of my decoration because these succulents, they are all overgrown, and I have to redo all of this, removing all of this. So I do plant the geranium, pink one, or looks like a white one in the camera, and use this geranium as an edge or like a border. So then I have some design instead of using just the succulents. So Now it's overgrown and I had to redo this project. So here it's more of the Richardson geranium. And again, this is very easy to use. Just add it in your pot, or sometimes you can also add it in your hanging plants and they will grow. Here is actually all made hydrangea on the pot and also the daylilies. So I create this raised bed garden actually just early last year, and then instead of disposing all this old wood because they are really thick, and what I did, I just reused them and use it as my raised bed on this side, and I add that on the back is actually all my potted hydrangeas. That's all my propagation, and here next to it is actually all my orange daylilies, and I have in between there is my creeping Jenny. That's just my propagation as well, and I want them to grow and cover this wood. So that's my intention why I plant all of that in here. So this two geranium actually, so this is similar to each other. It's just they have pink, like light pink or actually dark pink, and then white bloom with the geranium. It's a combination of two colors. And there's another one here with just this Richardson geranium. So the other one is actually the sticky geranium. The pink one is the same foliage as the white geranium. That's the same foliage compared to the first one, the bloody cranesbill. They have different foliage. So here, this is the two geranium that's combined. It looks nice. And here, again, with the old wood that we transfer in this side. So this geranium just grow on the crack side, which is here. Sometimes there's like a crack of this wood, and so actually one of them I added. It may be this one or that one. So I added just to make it like a mirror like of the geranium, because look, so you cannot barely see the wood on this side. I mean, you can on the edge, but then covering with this geranium here, it's very nice. If I have all that cover and also the creeping jenny is going to be overflowing into this wood, it's going to be so nice. So here again, I plant this one just to mirror the other side of their geranium. Let me just give you a far view so you can see it on how they look like. They look like, like on a country garden or like an old-fashioned garden. So I'm going to actually show you the other geraniums that I add and combine with my other plants. Look at that beautiful. This is the red rhodie. Oh, it's so beautiful, and look, it's really, really red. And here is the second pathway of my garden, and I am going to show you. So like this one, this is actually the bloody cranesbill geranium, but there's no flower yet, and that should be fine. And here I have decorate and reuse these old boots. This is the garden boots, and I add, just want to show you that this geranium is easy to grow. They are really, really easy to grow. So sometimes I forgot to water them, and I just plant them actually with these old boots. This is all my garden boots, and it's old already, so instead of throwing it away, I just reuse it. Okay, so let me just show you the other geranium that I just planted on the pots together with actually some of the dwarf lilies. And here I have a ceramic pots, and I add this geranium, and look how bushy. That's 3 ceramic pots, and I have the dwarf lily, and they are actually dark red when they bloom. So I'm gonna do a separate video of that too, so all of my collection of my lilies. So again, that's how it look like. You can decorate them. They are easy. They don't really grow really tall, and after they're done blooming, all you have to do is pull, and they will, as long as the roots stays on the ground or on the soil or on the pot, then they will be coming back year after year. And here is another example that I combine this geranium with actually the bamboo. So that is the bamboo, that's the evergreen. And I have hydrangea on the other pots with the primroses. And look around this bamboo plant, I put this geranium. Right now, they are actually almost done blooming, but let's step back a little bit so you can see how it looked like. So that's the whole pot. And actually, the one on the front yard, I have same thing, and I use the white flower and the pink one, and it's almost like all the way with that big pot is like already covered with geranium, and they look nice though. So again, this geranium, I'm going to show you a project that I did, and all I put is the geranium, and I don't have to worry about watering. They will survive and they still going to give bloom. So here is actually my center garden in the backyard. That's the flowering flowers are that vine that you're looking right now. This is the clematis, and that purple one there is also a clematis. So let's go and give you a quick close-up tour with the geranium. Again, that geranium that's planted on my old boots, it's the pink one, and here is the hanging plant. This is a geranium. See? So you can plant them, and they're not very sensitive. They can grow even on the full sun or on the part sun. So this one, I have all this vine in here, and of course it's not receiving a lot of full sun, but look how healthy is this, and it is planted on this pot. So you can combine them and start planting this beautiful geranium in your garden. So going to the slope side of my garden, so again I am going to show you some more potted geranium. They are actually planted in the front yard, which is I have some on the ground and I have some on the pot. So I am going to show that to you. So let's take a walk and check them out. So here is my front yard. This is actually the entrance going to the bottom gate, and here with my rhododendron, which is still beautiful and still blooming. Underneath this rhodie is the geranium. You see, even though they don't receive a lot of sun, they are not very picky to plant. So I use them actually as my border, so that this rhodie, they have something like to cover this ground, and that is actually perfect for this area. So again, the bees like it. This geranium that I planted with my English ivy, I planted here, and sometimes this one, it's covering the entire pot, so sometimes you cannot even barely see them. So this is really a good combination, because the ivy, they don't even have any flowers, so geranium is giving a stunning look with this pot. So this one is actually planted, or we put this big pot next to the garage. Can you see how big is this? This is a big pot actually, and I put this geranium, and they come back year after year. I only just need to deadhead them, and again, it's easy to deadhead. You don't need any special tools to do that. All you have to do is just pull all these brown stems, because they are very fragile when they done blooming and they dried up. And this one, look at that bee. The bee likes to eat all this natural food from this geranium. And also this one is actually, we designed this next to our garage and also on the driveway, and even though you are all the way to the street, you can still see this tiny blooms, because this is a lot in one pot. Okay, so here, still in my front yard, this is the driveway actually, and here, can you tell me where's the geranium? The pink one. Here is the azalea, and next to it is rhodie. The geranium is actually so special because I have a project here, and we put all this retaining wall, and I have a space on this side, one of the retaining wall just broke, and so I have to use the cinder block just to cover this side, and I don't really like the hole on the cinder block. So what I did, I just put dirt and add this geranium, and now look how beautiful they are. You cannot even see that there's a hole of the cinder block in there because it's covering by this begonia, the big leaf, and of course this beautiful geranium. This is the Richardson geranium, and they are so pretty. Even though they're tiny, it's fine because I love them and I don't really have to water this plant in here, and they still survive. So here, if you didn't see my upper level of my front yard yet, that's the stairs going to the second level, and I do have actually a separate video on all of that if you want to check it out and watch all the full front yard tour. And here I am just going to show you one more geranium that I put it on the pot, and this is all my fern. And here is the geranium that's also planted on the pot. You cannot tell that there's a pot in there because this English ivy, that one, and also the geranium, they just covered the big pot. Let me show you that there is a big pot here. That's the pot. And in front of this pot, it's covered by the geranium and also the English ivy. It looks nice. Okay, my friends, so that's the end of our video for today for our beautiful geranium. I hope you remember all the tips on how to care, grow, and propagate all of them. And you can go ahead and go to your nursery garden to buy all of these 3 variety. Again, this is the Richardson geranium, the bloody cranesbill geranium, and also the sticky geranium. Go ahead and start planting them and add this beauty of this beautiful plant in your garden. I'll see you on my next vlog. You take care.